Here today, I wanted to do this live on transitioning your nutrition to more of a plant-based diet. So that doesn't necessarily mean vegan, 100% plant-based, not using any type of animal products in your diet. It just means that you're eating predominantly plant-based, that you're really incorporating those plant-based foods into your diet on a regular basis and making that the focus, the star of your plate, to use those foods to help you with performance and recovery. So I wanted to talk about how to transition a little bit easier so it's something that you can create a lifestyle from or out of instead of a diet. We want to stay away from the diet mentality that this is another diet you're going to try, like maybe you tried keto for low carb, maybe you've done intermittent fasting, things like that that don't really last. And we want your plant-based nutrition to be a lifestyle for you. We want it to last. And so transitioning in an easy way is going to make it easier for you to stick with. So again, if you jump on, let me know that you're here. Tell me where you are in your plant-based journey. And let me know if you end up watching the replay. Just put replay in the comments. And if you guys have any comments or questions as we're going through this information, just put it in the comment section and I'd love to answer it, whether it's now or after the fact. But before we get started, I want to formally introduce myself. I am, in case you don't know me, I am Kathleen Oswalt. I'm a registered dietitian and the co-founder of Eat Love Triathlon and the Plant Powered Process. And myself, along with my husband, we help athletes eat more plant foods for performance and recovery. Okay, so over the next several minutes, I'm going to be talking about things that you can consider to help you transition your diet to eating more plant-based foods. So if you're new to plant-based eating, this is something that's really important. If you didn't tell me earlier, tell me where you are in your plant-based journey. Are you just kind of thinking about it? Or have you started and you're in the beginnings of that? Are you eating some plant foods and still incorporating some animal products as well? Or maybe you're just 100% plant-based, full-blown, following a vegan diet. Let me know where you're at so I have a better idea. So I wanted to ask you, do any of these sound like you? Have you said any of these things before? You've tried to go plant-based, but you feel like you're really missing certain foods. I've seen athletes mention this, and a lot of the time, a big one is eggs. I think that they are very versatile and easy to make, and you can eat them in different ways. So, do you feel like you're missing out on some certain foods? Does it feel too restrictive to you? Do you feel like you're just not really enjoying it and that you're not having any fun with it and it's just really just too restrictive for you? Do you feel like you're missing out on eating out or ordering in because you just don't know what to eat or where to eat and it's just so confusing and overwhelming, and so you're really not doing those types of things that you loved doing before going plant-based or eating more plants? And have you ever said, I've fallen off the wagon? So you've tried to go plant-based, but you feel like you just fell off the wagon and started going back and reverting to the way you were eating before. Um, let's see. And have you ever felt like it's just way too hard and you just don't want to deal with it anymore and it just doesn't really fit your lifestyle? So let me know if any of those sound familiar to you, and maybe there's something that I didn't mention. And if there is, then put it in the comments and let me know. Going plant-based, I want you to think about it as it's not another diet. Like I said, this is not keto, intermittent fasting. Plant-based eating is not another diet. This really shouldn't be treated like a diet. So if you're saying any of the things that I mentioned previously, um, you know, those are more those are comments that are in line with following a diet. So we don't want you to feel like it's hard, too hard, or that it's too restrictive, or that you're missing out on foods that you love. You're not doing the things that you love anymore because of the way that you're eating. Again, needs to be a lifestyle, not a diet, because diets don't last, right? They are designed to make you fail. So we want to put that aside and we really want to focus on how do we make this transition work for us and our lifestyle, so it's something that we follow. It's a way of eating for us for the rest of our lifetime. So to make change stick, it has to be a plan that works for you, right? It can't be a plan that somebody gives you and tells you what to do and how to follow it. That's really a diet. That's what diets do. They just give you something, tell you to follow it, and you do it, and then eventually you just don't do it anymore. So, we have to come up with or you have to come up with a plan that's going to work for you and your lifestyle. So this just becomes part of you. Let's talk about some of the tips on how to transition your nutrition to more of a plant-based diet. So the first one is letting go of the all or nothing mentality. And how many of you have the all or nothing? I think we all have a little bit of that, right? It's kind of that perfectionism that sneaks in. So I want you to know that this is not an all or nothing. You don't have an all or nothing mentality when you're transitioning your nutrition. It's not about being all in, or making it perfect, or if it's not perfect, then things like guilt and negative thoughts start to think in, or sneak in. And that's when you start to kind of unravel and no longer want to follow the plan that you have for yourself. So really letting go of that all or nothing mentality. And when you can do that and you can allow for flexibility when it comes to your nutrition, when it comes to eating, when it comes to nourishing and fueling your athlete body, then this becomes really so much easier and really becomes more of a natural process. It's not forced. It doesn't feel like it's something that's forced. So you really want to allow for flexibility. You want to have grace with yourself. You want to, just look at this as kind of like a journey, versus needing to be doing it 100% right off the bat. So really letting go of that all or nothing mentality. I want you to acknowledge that this is your personal transition, okay? So there's no right or wrong. There's no specific timeline. So it might take you a little bit longer to transition your nutrition versus somebody else, and there's nothing wrong with that. You could have transition your nutrition depending on what that looks like for you. And we'll talk about that next. But just depending on what it looks like for you, if you want to be vegan, maybe you're vegan in 3 months. Maybe it takes somebody to get to that point years, and that's okay. So really acknowledging that this is your personal transition, and there's no timeline or a right or wrong way to do this. I will say for me personally, I think I went vegetarian. I stopped eating meat, gosh, 20 plus years ago, 25 plus years ago. And it's been a journey. I mean, I have really grown so much in that transition in all of this time. And Dawn and I are not vegan. We are predominantly plant-based, plant forward, if you want to, whatever you want to call it. I don't eat meat. He rarely, very rarely eats meat. And we don't, again, the transition has been slow. So we've, working out dairy. We still have a little bit of cheese every once in a while. We might have eggs every once in a while, but it's not, the focus of our meals. And so we really try to focus on eating lots of plant-based foods and making those the majority of our meals. And then sometimes we eat other things. So, the transition has been, for me and for Dawn, just a process and a journey. And we didn't wake up one day and said, okay, we're going to be vegan on this date. We just let our transition happen and our journey happen the way it is unfolding for us. So that's what I want for you. All right, the third tip is that decide what feels right for you and be okay with that. So again, we are not vegan and we're okay with that. Again, most of our meals are plant-based, but we do, at Thanksgiving, we ate some cheese. I had some eggs here for a guest that we had. And so, we ate some eggs and those are things that we're okay with that. Don, after he does a full Ironman, he craves a hamburger or a cheeseburger and he eats one and he's okay with that. But again, those are very rare instances. So, we kind of have decided what we're okay with and what we're not okay with. And that's just how we look at our nutrition. So it doesn't have to be 100% plant-based. You decide what you're okay with and be okay with that. So um, I want you to know that your new way of eating isn't all about saying, okay, I'm going to be vegan because that's what I should do. And then it's all about willpower. That's not what this is about. Creating a lifestyle and eating a certain way is not about willpower. I really want you to focus on your values. So, what are your values when it comes to nutrition? And what are your values when it comes to more political things like animal cruelty or big farming, things like that? What are your values around nutrition and animals and food, I guess food in the sense of plant-based eating? So really think about that. And then think about like what will you be gaining from the way that you're eating? So what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And how is your nutrition going to help you with that? So think about what are the positive things that you'll gain from the way that you're eating. When you do this, you don't feel like you fell off the wagon. So when I ate cheese at Thanksgiving, when Dawn ate cheese at Thanksgiving, we didn't feel like we fell off the wagon. I mean, we just ate cheese and we were okay with that. Do we do it all the time? No. But, we do it every once in a while. And so I don't really consider that falling off the wagon. When he eats a cheeseburger after a full Ironman, is that falling off the wagon? No. It's just something he craved and we move on. So again, just deciding what you're okay with and being good with that. I have a fourth tip for you. And, there's other tips as well. I just didn't want to take up too much of your time today and just give you a few tips. But lastly, you really want to make sure that you're enjoying the foods that you're eating. So I've seen athletes say that, plant-based eating is boring. I don't like vegetables. The food doesn't taste good, things like that. So you want to make sure that you're really, you're eating foods that you really enjoy. That's super important. I mean, if you don't like tofu, um, that's fine. There are people that don't like tofu, but you can still, focus your nutrition on other plant foods. So you can still be predominantly plant-based and not include tofu. But I encourage you to keep trying it in different ways because it's a great plant food to have in your diet. How can you make this nutrition your lifestyle if you're eating foods every day that you don't like? I mean, that's impossible, right? I mean, who would want to do that? That would really suck. Food is meant to fuel and nourish your body, but it's also meant to be enjoyed. So you want to really focus on foods that you love. And there are so many different plant foods and tons of variety that you can include into your nutrition that I just believe that there is a way to find things that you love. I think with plant-based nutrition, you really have to sometimes try foods in different ways to see how you like it. So be open to that, be open to experimenting and trying different recipes. And again, like tofu can be prepared a lot of different ways and be used in a lot of different ways. And, if you don't like tofu, uh, like in a stir fry or something, maybe you could use it in a smoothie where it's completely hidden, blended in, and you don't even know that it's there, but you still get the nutrients from it. So with plant-based eating, I think that you need to be a little patient. You need to be a little curious about how you can prepare the foods differently and try some different things. So that is my last tip. So the tips for transitioning your nutrition to make it easier for you to make this a lifestyle versus a diet are four things: letting go of the all or nothing mentality, acknowledge that your personal transition is your personal transition. So it might take you longer than others, and that's okay. It's your journey. Decide what feels right to you and be okay with that. So again, if you still want to include animal products into your nutrition, that's okay. But make the focus plant foods, right? Make those the star of your plate and make the animal products kind of like a side. So decide what is okay with you and be okay with that. And then lastly, make sure that you're eating foods that you really enjoy. That's super important. So when you're transitioning your nutrition, don't go into this blindly. Make sure that you have your values, okay? Your why of why you want to transition your nutrition and what are you going to be gaining from that. And then arming yourself with knowledge on how to make that transition. So we've talked about a few tips here today. So if you do this, if you have these three things guiding you, you're going to be so much more successful in making this transition a lifestyle versus another diet where it kind of fades away. So I hope that was helpful. And again, for all of you new people, I'm Kathleen Oswalt. I'm a registered dietitian and the co-founder of Eat Love Triathlon and the Plant Powered Process. And I work with my husband and we help athletes use plant-based foods to improve performance and recovery. So again, if you have any questions after this live, put them in the comments and I'd love to answer them for you. All right, you guys, take care and have a great rest of the week. All right, bye-bye.